Hello everyone and welcome to the game you guys have been requesting ever since it finished a couple of minutes ago. It is Pentala Harikrishna versus Arseniy Nesterov from round 2 of this year's FIDE World Cup. And yes, the game is like something out of early, maybe 20th century or maybe even 1858, straight out of the Morphy Andersen era. But you have to be careful when checking out games like these because the position in question, and I know you guys know which position I'm talking about, was reached almost instantly. So the players, I would say both, know this position very well, but chances are you never actually tried playing it. Or maybe I could be wrong. So let's check it out. Let's see what happened here. Pentala with white opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to f6. Okay, the Petrov defense usually met with knight captures on e5 or knight to c3. Here we have pawn to d4. This is the Steinitz attack against the Petrov defense. Knight captures on e4, again usually met with bishop to d3 here. Harikrishna goes d captures on e5. We have bishop to c5 and now queen to d5. Okay, it looks like you're blundering something on f2, but it is actually a well-known line and it can be played. Maybe not in classical, because why would you? But okay, it can be played. Bishop captures on f2. We have king to e2 and pawn to f5. As okay, if the knight moves, you're going to lose that bishop on f2. And the position has been reached before. Usually they just capture on f6 en passant. The knight goes back. You win a tempo on the queen, and then you also save the bishop on f2. Also, some of the games that reach this position, knight b to d2 was played. Here we have knight to c3, and it is now already as of move 7 that we have a completely new game. And if you look at the situation on the clock, well, players reached it pretty much instantly. This is where the fun starts. Pawn to c6, attacking the queen. And you could expect something like queen to d3 or queen to b3. Those are the sensible retreats. Maybe queen d1 looks a little bit weird. But no, knight captures on e4. This is what Hari played, and this is where it really gets interesting. But also, the queen sacrifice, you can see the situation on the clock also played instantly. C captures on d5, and now knight to d6 with check. Again, pretty much pre-moved. He's now back in the 1 hour and 30 minutes territory. And okay, if you go king e7, bishop g5 ends the game on the spot. So you have to go to f8. With king to f8, and now comes king captures on f2, followed by knight to c6. Again, no one burning any time here. We have bishop to e3, and pawn to d4, going after that bishop. And okay, this is the first move where Arseniy actually spent some time, but it is a great move because you're trying to either get rid of that bishop, not just the bishop. If the knight captures, then you can pick up the pawn on e5, and if the bishop captures, then you can just trade and go queen h4 check and pick up the knight on d4. So pretty straightforward. So bishop to f4, by far the best from Hari, and queen to b6. But also, that was the first move where Hari actually spent some time. Okay, going after the b2 pawn, threatening some pawn to d3 discoveries. Bishop to d3, blocking the pawn, inviting the capture on b2. But, I mean, this is no time to be capturing on b2. You still have to figure out how to get that bishop into the game. Actually, capturing on b2 might not be terrible. You do free up the b pawn, and then maybe you can play something, but... yeah, it's hard to imagine the rook coming into the game. You're not going to have a lot of fun here. So after bishop to d3, we have knight e7 and bishop to d2. You know that the knight is coming to d5, will put pressure on the bishop, and here the bishop will be nicely controlling the knight on d5. We have knight to d5, and the bishop captures on f5. Knight e3, bishop back to d3, and king to e7, preparing rook f8 and going after the white king. We have rook h to e1, and just rook to f8. And there are many good moves here, but there is one that is particularly painful for black and just shows that black really has nothing here. So feel free to pause the video and win the game for Hari while I give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on also playing like a hurricane. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook captures on e3. Yes, a rook is a little bit better than a knight, but not than a monster knight on e3. and that's basically the only active piece black has. So this knight is worth much more than a rook. Rook captures, we have d captures, and the bishop captures on e3. And again, if you capture, the problem is this bishop g5 check, king e6, and bishop to c4 will be checkmate. Or you go, maybe somewhere else, but yeah, it's going to be severe material loss. So after bishop captures on e3, rook captures on f3 with check, king captures, and now queen captures on b2. Now you will be able to capture on e5, but it only appears that way. Bishop g5 check, we have king to e6, and now sort of an in-between move, a nice Zwischenzug, rook e1, threatening bishop to c4 checkmate. So how can you survive this? Pawn to b5, yes, you stop bishop to c4, but now you've exposed the rook on a8. So like I said, like something out of, 1858, let's say. Bishop to f5 with check, forcing the king to e4, to d5, so you can play bishop to e4 check with tempo. King d5 only moves bishop to e4 check with king back to e6, and the bishop captures on a8. Even by sheer material, white is now much, much better, as you have a rook, a dark square bishop, and a knight for a queen. Queen to c3 check, black will give a couple of more moves, and then that is it. We have rook to e3, queen captures on c2, and bishop back to e4. We have queen to d1 with check, king g3, queen to h5, and here pawn to h4. And he was in this position on move 29 that Arseniy Nesterov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Not just the game, also the match, as he game 1 ended in a draw, and by winning game 2, Hari is now seated into round 3. So great stuff for Harikrishna, and here you resign because there is no move that you can make, and it's gonna be, whatever you play is just gonna be a king hunt. Let's say pawn to h6, bishop to f5 with check, king d5, rook to d3 with check, and now you have nothing better. King captures on e5, bishop to d2. The king is in the center of the board, and very, very soon you're either getting checkmated or you're gonna suffer terrible material losses. What's a move you can even play? The bishop is even worse than a pawn. This is a non-existent bishop. Let's say pawn to g6, bishop to c3 checkmate. So, it would end in a fairly similar fashion, I believe. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible to even consider a move here. The position is just so bad. So yeah, while the position itself has been reached before and it's not anything new, I don't know, the queen sacrifice in this particular position wasn't played because there was a bit of a deviation with that knight to c3 move instead of knight bd2. But yeah, players weren't all that impressed. They knew all of this, and it like bishop to f4 was the first real move for Hari, and it was by far the best move. He continued playing well. And yeah, I mean, even this far into the position, a queen sacrifice has to be a part of your repertoire, and that's why you should download Lotus Chess. First link in the description below, and learn how to play incredibly fighting chess and crush your opponents like this. So I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Francesco Corradi, Uzi Shalev, Francisco Santana, Deepak Gangadaran, and Eddie Sphere for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.